Hey friends, this is Jayendra Khatod and I'm here to chart the best fit on Azure. Let's pick up another Microsoft service for this episode to try to deep dive into its pricing and sizing aspects. For today's episode, I have guest speaker Rakesh Mukhopadhyay. He is our security expert. Rakesh, why don't you tell our viewers what do you do here at Microsoft India and which service are you picking up today?
Yeah, hi Jandra. Thanks for bringing me here. Just a quick intro. My name is Rakesh Mukhopadhyay. I am a cloud solution architect for security, and I work with partners and customers um, for in security domain. In today's session, I will explain you how to effectively create a bill of material for Sentinel and what are the components that are mandatory to position when you work with your customer. Yeah, so with that, let me share my screen. And I'm sure you know that Sentinel is industry's first cloud native SIEM plus source solution, right? So Sentinel can not only help you to identify threats as early as possible, but it will also help you to mitigate the threat as soon as possible. So we have the security orchestration, automation, and response built into the product. So it is basically SIEM plus SOAR plus user entity behavior analytics. So these are the functionalities, and then obviously you will also get the threat hunting in Sentinel, right? Um, yeah. So with that, what I have done, I have created this sample Sentinel bomb, and I will walk you through this bomb, and will explain you what all the components, how do you create the bill of material, right? So in here, what I have done, I'm considering a fictitious customer, which is Contoso Hotels, and I'm assuming that Contoso Hotels has recently floated an RFP, or they came out with a SOC modernization plan, and they have these five requirements. One is they need 100 GB data ingestion. They need online 90 days or 3 months online log retention, and they need 9 months offline log retention, and obviously they need user entity behavior analytics and the security orchestration, automation, and response functionality, right? So I'm sure you know that in same domain there are two metrics that we generally use. One is EPS, which is event per second, and then the other one is the volume of log that we ingest on day to day, on per day basis, right? So for Sentinel we consider the volume of log that we ingest on per day basis. So Sentinel, since it is a cloud native SIEM plus source solution, our consumption plan is basically pay as you go. So if you consume 5 GB, if you ingest 5 GB, 10 GB, 20 GB, 50 GB, so based on your ingestion, you will need to pay. But then if you go for a if you go for our first plan, which is basically 100 GB per day ingestion, then you will get 25% discount on the normal price, right? So if you have if you see that you are coming very close to 100 GB, your estimation is coming very close to 100 GB, then going with 100 GB plan makes more sense, right? Then, and now how do you estimate the ingestion, right? So we have this specific calculator. It is basically a spreadsheet where on the left hand side, if you see, you have the different devices listed here. So when you speak to your customer, try to get as much granular information as possible. Okay, because as you see, we have divided it like Windows high EPS generating server, medium EPS generating server, low EPS generating server, then domain server. So the more data that you can collect from your customer, the more accurate will be the estimation, right? So even if the customer says I have 10 firewalls, so you should know the position of those firewalls. Are they DMZ firewall? Are they branch office firewall? Are they edge firewall? Because according to position, the firewall generates or the firewall produces more number of logs, right? So The idea is the more data that you get from your customer, the estimation will be more accurate. And once you do the estimation, this row number 35 and 36, these two one is what is you should know what is your customer's online log retention requirement, and then what is offline log retention requirement. So with Sentinel, we will get 90 days or 3 months online log retention at free of cost. But if the customer choose for more number of months to be specified as online log, then we have to put that in the calculator. And then offline log is basically the customer may have a lot of compliance use cases that they want to retain logs for longer time. It could be 2 years, 5 years, 7 years. So we have to understand that so that we can develop the Sentinel bill of material, right? So this is the pricing calculator that we use. And then if I again go back to this the sample bomb, as you see, this one is very important. So in what and I am sure that you have seen this online pricing calculator available for Sentinel, right? So what I have done as I walk you through this document, I actually captured these screens from this online calculator itself, right? So first we have to select the Sentinel region. So these are all Microsoft available Microsoft regions where we have Sentinel available as a service. So in India, we have three regions: Central India, South India, and West India. But then what I always suggest you that when you speak to your customer, you should check that if the customer has any compliance issues in storing log in a foreign country. Okay, so if you find that the customer can store logs in a foreign country, then I always suggest you to go with East US region, because East US region is the cheapest available options. Okay, so instead of selecting any other regions, if you select the East US region, you will the cost will be reduced a lot. Okay, and then one other thing that you see here when I come to the calculator again. So one is basic log and one is analytic log, right? So what is basic log? Basic log is basically high volume of log, but those logs have zero to no security value. Okay, so you will notice that many of the times the customer has maybe a storage log, cloud storage log, container log, or the customer has developed a new app. But as of today, they are not very sure of what all use cases that they can configure based on those custom apps, right? So those will be candidate for basic log. And then what is analytics log? Analytics log is basically whatever we ingest to Sentinel by default, they qualify as analytics log. And now what is the advantage and disadvantage for, or what are the use cases for both these log types, right? So as I said, basic log is basically high volume of log, but they do not have any security value. So if you ingest this, if you qualify a few log sources as basic log, you will still be able to search those logs in Sentinel. You will be able to generate report from those logs. You can do threat hunting from those logs, but those logs will not be consumed in Sentinel correlation engine, right? So those logs will not be consumed for incident generation, alert generation purpose. And then analytics log will be consumed for everything. It will be consumed for correlation purpose. You can see alerts, you can see incidents from your analytics log. And cost wise, basic log is much lower cost than analytics log. Okay, so this is a good use case, but it is not meant to reduce the Sentinel cost. Okay, if you think that I can reduce the cost of Sentinel by qualifying logs as basic log, but that is not the purpose of basic log. Okay, so basic log is good. It can be considered as secondary log, which will be helpful for incident investigation purpose, but they will not be consumed for correlation purpose. Okay, so for my sample bomb, what I am considering 20 GB as basic log and 100 GB as analytics log. Okay, And then once I put these numbers in these boxes, the next screen will automatically come. And as you see in Sentinel BOM, there are two items. One is Azure Monitor data ingestion cost, and then Sentinel, Microsoft Sentinel ingestion cost, right? So as I have selected basic log as 20 GB. So this cost is coming to 420 plus 300. Plus, because I am adding both the Azure Monitor cost and Microsoft Sentinel cost. And then analytics cost is $8,232 plus $4,200. So this is my analytics cost, and this is my basic log cost. And then, as I said, the online retention for 3 months is available at free of cost. And in my sample, in my example, this fictitious customer Contoso hotels, they have these 3 months online retention. So that is where I can see the cost is showing $0, right? And for data archival, if you remember, the customer has the requirement to keep logs as archival logs for 9 months. So this is the cost coming to $919.80. Okay. So if you find the customer has 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, then accordingly you have to change this number. Instead of 9 months, you will put the number over here. But in many cases, you will find that there could be three type of log retention. First is online log retention. Second is archive log retention. But in archive log retention, the customer may want to restore that log or may want to search that log very frequently. Okay, so the customer will say, I need 12 months of archival log, and I can access those logs whenever I want. Okay, and then the customer still has a use case, some compliance use case, that they want to store 7 years of log or 10 years of log um, as cold log. Okay, so they will not be, those logs will not be accessed very frequently, but they still need to retain those logs for compliance purpose. Okay, so my suggestion is, in that case, the very extended retention, we can use Azure Blob Storage, which is the cheapest available options. So then it is coming like this: 3 months online, 12 months archive, and then more than 12 months I will move it to Azure Blob. Okay, which is the very low cost storage options available, right? And in Azure Blob, we can keep it for as long as 100 years. Okay, so this is how we do the retention and data archive. And then next is coming data restore, search query, and search job. So customer, unless the customer consumes these services, they will not need to pay anything for this. Okay, so data restore is basically, if you have archive log, and if the customer has a forensic requirement that they want to restore the data, then the data restoration cost will come. And search query is actually, if you consider basic log, then the search query will come. And if you do not consider basic log, there will be nothing for search query. And search job is basically, when an analyst is investigating an incident, he may want to search a log which is part of archive log, right? Which is maybe, so 3 months I have online retention, and I have 12 months or 9 months offline. So the analyst is searching a log which is probably 8 months log, right? So if the analyst wants to search a log which is part of archive log, then there is a cost associated to this, right? So my suggestion is, please do not put any numbers in these boxes, because this will increase the Sentinel cost, but the customer may not need to pay for these services, because data restorations is a very infrequent requirement, right? So maybe once in 3 months, or maybe 5-6 times in a year, he may want to restore the data. So unless they consume these services, they do not need to pay for this, right? So we do not need to put any number when we estimate the Sentinel bill of material. Now next comes to this other feature, which is UEBA, User Entity Behavior Analytics, and Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. How do we cost for these two items. Right now, if I go back to the Sentinel calculator, in the online calculator, we do not have the options for EVBA and SOAR cost, right? But this is very easy, and this is how um, we can actually we can estimate the cost for EVBA and SOAR. So what is EVBA cost? EVBA cost is basically 4 to 5% on top of your data ingestion cost. And when I say data ingestion cost, it is the analytics log ingestion cost. Okay. So if I go back, if I scroll it up, this is my analytics log ingestion cost. If I see $8,232 plus $4,200, right? So this is my analytics log ingestion cost. And if I add them both, then it is coming to 12,000 for $32, and on top of that I am considering 4%, so that is coming to $497.28. Okay, so this is my UEBA cost. So whatever ingestion cost that is coming, you just multiply it by 4%, and that is your UEBA cost. Okay, this is very simple. Then what about SOAR cost? So we will take some assumptions here. So what we are assuming that we have 100 incidents that are generating every day in my SOC environment. Okay, for a 100 GB per day ingestion plan, and I should also clear it here that 100 GB per day is very much close to equivalent to 2500 EPS. Okay, so 100 GB per day is 2500 EPS kind of plan. So if you find that your customer has 100 GB per day ingestion plan, you can assume that they will have 100 incidents generating per day in the security operations center, and then per incident we execute 6 playbook. Okay, on an average per incident we execute 6 playbook. So playbook is basically when you want to automate an action, right? So there is a we have multiple connector for integration with Sentinel, like ServiceNow. If you have a ticketing tool, if you like ServiceNow, Zendesk, Jira, if you have firewalls like Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Cisco, Azure Firewall, whatever it is, right? So we have hundreds of playbooks out of the box integrations available. So you just need to integrate them, and then each playbook you just need to integrate them for SOAR functions, and then each playbook has 20 actions, right? So say for example you have an incident and you want to block a specific IP address to a firewall, right? So that means it is an action. There is an incident, and there is a user who is actually, there is a phishing incident and this user has been phished. Okay, so you want to block that user in your Azure AD or Microsoft AD, so that is an action. So what we are considering, each playbook will have 20 actions, and maximum price per action is this dollar amount. Okay, so now if I want to see monthly spend for SOAR functionality, which is 100 incidents per day into 30, that means per month, then per incidents I am executing 6 playbook. Per incident I am executing 6 playbook, so I multiply it by 6, and per playbook I am executing 20 actions on an average, so multiplying it by 20, and per actions this dollar per actions value is this dollar amount. Okay, I am again multiplying this by this dollar amount, and which is giving me $54. $54 for my SOAR cost per month. Okay, now what is my total monthly cost for Contoso hotels? So there will be three number. This number is for Sentinel log ingestion cost plus data archival cost. This is my UEBA cost, and this is my SOAR cost. Okay, so if I add them all together, then this is coming to my monthly cost for Contoso hotels, and then my yearly cost for Contoso hotels is this, and this is the INR value of that cost. Now here is this link for our online pricing calculator that you can use. And so as earlier I was telling you that East US is our um cheapest options available for a Sentinel region, right? So instead of choosing Central India, if I would have selected East US, the cost is coming to this, and what I can see, I could have saved almost 40 lakhs per year. Okay, so this is a huge cost savings for me. So this is it. This is a quick overview of Sentinel bill of material. And if you follow this, you can actually create the most effective bill of material, having the mandatory components to solve to solve all your customer use cases. Thank you, and I hope this was useful to you.
Hey Rakesh, thank you so much for explaining in detail various sizing aspects of Microsoft Sentinel, which really make it easy now for me and I'm sure for our viewers on how to optimize the consumption plan for Microsoft Sentinel. Thank you so much. And that's about it for this episode, folks. Do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Also, let us know in the comments which Microsoft services would you like us to talk about in our upcoming videos. Signing off, this is Jayendra Khatod. Until next time, do keep learning.